You didn't waste today. Your phone did. And the worst part is, you handed it everything willingly, every morning, every night, every quiet moment you had in between. Researchers have a number for this. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day, once every 10 minutes, and every single check costs 23 minutes of focus to recover. Do that math on your own life. Most of us haven't completed a single thought in years, not because we are lazy, not because we don't care, but because something quietly rewired our minds, one scroll at a time. This is the story of a young man who discovered that truth, not in a book, not from advice, but in a silent room in front of 4 people when it was already too late. And then, very quietly, what he did next. It was a warm night, the kind where the heat doesn't leave when the sun goes down, it just settles into the walls and stays there. In a small 3rd-floor apartment, one room held a simple desk, a broken lamp fixed with tape, and an important application form that had been half-filled for 3 days. Beside it sat a glass of water that was cold when it was poured, but warm now. Nobody had noticed the time passing. Nobody in that room ever did. His name was Banty. He was 23 years old, and every night at 10 o'clock without fail, he made a cup of chai, sat at that desk, and opened his book. And every night around 1 in the morning, he woke up with his phone on his chest, 3 hours gone, and the same page still open in front of him. Tonight, it was page 114. It had been page 114 for 47 minutes. His left thumb was moving through short videos, one after another, each one shorter than the last. On the back of his phone was a small post-it note in his own handwriting, 4 words he had written 8 months ago. Is this necessary? He had stopped reading it after the 2nd week. Banty's dream was not complicated. He didn't want fame or wealth or anything grand. He wanted one single moment to sit across from his father, a quiet, hard-working man who had sacrificed his whole life for his family, and place a success letter in his hands. That was the image he carried. That was everything. One Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., Banty stood in the kitchen doorway and watched his father sitting at the small table, carefully pressing the collar of his old work uniform with a travel iron. Slowly, gently, the way a person handles something they haven't worn in 3 years, but still cannot bring themselves to throw away. The room smelled of warm cotton and old starch. Steam rose quietly from the iron. His father did not look up. "The interview is in 11 days, Banty," he said. It was not a warning, it was not pressure, it was just a fact, offered the way a man holds something precious, carefully, without squeezing it. Banty said nothing. He walked back to his room, sat at his desk, and stared at page 114. Day 11 arrived. A formal building with white walls and fluorescent lighting. 4 interviewers sat behind a long table. Banty sat across from them in his best shirt, clean and pressed, telling himself he was ready. The lead interviewer leaned forward and asked a simple question. "Tell us in your own words what you believe is the greatest challenge facing young people today. Take your time." Banty opened his mouth, then closed it. His mind, which for 4 years had never held a single thought for longer than 8 seconds before the next video appeared, was completely empty. Not nervous empty, hollow empty, like a room where all the furniture has been removed and only the outlines remain on the floor. 73 seconds passed. The interviewer picked up his pen and wrote something down. Banty watched him do it. He stood up, shook hands, and walked out. He sat on the front steps of the building and looked at his hands resting open in his lap. He had prepared for 11 days, but his mind had been unprepared for 4 years. When he came home that evening, an old man was sitting alone in the courtyard below. His name was Dean, and he was 71 years old, a retired man who had spent 35 years reading, writing, and thinking carefully long before smartphones ever existed. He had a stillness about him that Banty had always noticed but never understood. Dean was doing one simple thing. He was filling a glass of water from a small jug, slowly, watching it fill as though it was the most important task in the world. He looked up at Banty's face and said nothing. He simply poured a second glass and placed it on the ledge beside him. Banty sat down. A full minute passed in silence. "Uncle," Banty said quietly, "how did you ever finish anything? How did you hold a thought long enough to actually do something with it?" Dean picked up his glass and held it up between them. The water inside was perfectly still. "You see this? Still water shows you everything. Your own face, the sky above, what is real and what is not. But moving water shows you nothing but itself." He set the glass down gently. "Your phone keeps the water moving, son. It is not stealing your time, it is stealing your stillness. And without stillness, you cannot see yourself clearly enough to become anything." He tapped the glass once with his finger. The surface rippled outward in slow circles. Then, gradually, it became still again. That night, at 10 a.m., Banty made his chai, sat at his desk, and opened his book. He reached for his phone as he always did. Then he stopped. He looked at the post-it note on the back of it, his own handwriting, 4 words he had written 8 months ago that he long stopped seeing. "Is this necessary?" He placed the phone face down on the windowsill, not deleted, not locked away, just placed face down 90 centimeters from where he sat. Then he set a kitchen timer for 90 minutes and opened his book. At the 34th minute, his hand moved toward the windowsill on its own, before his mind had even given the instruction. He caught himself, pulled his hand back, and wrote one line in his notebook. "My hand moved before my mind did." Then he kept reading. The chai went cold beside him. He didn't notice. He was deep inside a thought, a complete one, for the first time in 4 years. The days that followed were not easy. On day 3, his hand reached for the phone again at the 34th minute and stopped mid-air. He wrote it down. He kept going. On day 9, a friend called to tell him that someone else had been selected for an opportunity Banty had been hoping for. He hung up the phone and sat in the dark without moving. His mother came into the room quietly, placed a cup of fresh chai on the desk beside him, and left without saying a word. That silence, warm and gentle, settled over him like a blanket. He sat with it and did not reach for his phone. On day 13, late at night, he looked down and realized he had been scrolling for 22 minutes. He only noticed because he recognized a video he had already watched 3 weeks before. His mind had gone in a full circle, and he had been completely absent for every second of it. He got up, walked to his desk, placed his phone inside, and closed it. No announcement, no promise to himself, just a drawer closing quietly in an empty room. Day 21. Banty was writing a practice answer for an important exam question when he stopped mid-sentence, not because he had lost focus, but because he had run out of paper. He looked at what was in front of him, 4 full pages of writing. He had not once reached for his phone. He had not decided to do this, it had simply happened on its own. He looked at the post-it note sitting on the corner of his desk. "Is this necessary?" He had written those words 8 months ago, hoping they would stop him. Now he read them differently, not as a warning he had ignored, but a question he could finally answer. No, it never was. He turned the page over and kept writing. Day 47. An examination hall with 200 candidates, 3 hours on the clock, and 1 essay question on the page. Banty found his seat and sat down. Around him, pens began scratching immediately. Someone nearby cracked their knuckles repeatedly. A person 2 seats away erased their first paragraph and started again before the first 10 minutes had passed.
Banty sat still and let 90 seconds of silence pass over him, the same silence that had broken him 47 days ago in that interview room. But this time, it did not feel hollow. It felt like still water, calm, clear, ready. He picked up his pen and wrote. He finished 20 minutes before time was called. He read through his work once, stood up, and submitted. The invigilator glanced at the pages, then looked up at Banty and gave a single slow nod. No words. The hall was still full of anxious noise. Banty was the only quiet thing in it. A few weeks later, on another warm evening, Banty sat at his desk in that same small room. Beside him was a glass of water. He reached for it. It was still cold. He had been present enough this time to drink it before the warmth took it. He heard steps behind him.
His father walked in wearing his old work uniform, ironed and pressed. He placed a letter on the desk, sat down in the chair beside his son, and said nothing. They sat together in that good silence, the kind that is full rather than empty, the kind that only comes when something has truly been earned. After a while, Banty stood up, went to the kitchen, and made 2 cups of chai. He brought one back and set it quietly on the table beside his father. No words. He simply left it there and stepped back. His mother was standing in the doorway watching. She recognized exactly what she was seeing. She had done the same thing herself on day 9 in the dark for him. She had set a cup of chai on his desk without a word, and in that small act had shown him what stillness and love looked like together. Now he had passed it forward without even knowing he had learned it. Some lessons never travel through words. They travel through small, quiet acts, a cup set down gently, a hand that stays instead of reaching, a silence that says everything words cannot. We watched Banty fail, not because he lacked intelligence or effort, but because 4 years of endless scrolling had quietly destroyed his ability to hold a thought long enough to finish it. We watched him discover this the hardest way possible, and we watched what happened when he made one small decision and protected it every single day.